Do you have a SSAS Business Pension? Do you want to know how to create recurring revenue from assets that generate tax-free income, tax-free gains, and would you like to know how to present yourself to investors to hopefully do a JV, a collaboration, create a connection, then create a collaboration together to do a JV on an asset using their pension pot and your know-how? Let's jump in right now and find out from one of our advisors, Kevin Whelan, who is one of the advisors with Taylor Capital Club, and let's find out his advice.
But one of the key questions is the next slide, Dan, which is this whole point about, where does money come from? And I think property developers, commercial developers, I work with many of them, are used to applying for money, but they don't necessarily see that actually all money emanates from people. So whether you get the money from a senior debt provider, that money starts off by being the money sitting in the accounts of people. Whether you get it from a bridging company, it's people. Whether you get it from any organization at all, a mezzanine provider or a Ray McLennan type provider, an angel finance, it's always people. And what I've found to be true for those of you who want to really seriously build property wealth is the closer you can get to people and deal directly with the people and remove the intermediary from as much as you can, insofar as if you can build relationships with the people who've got the money, you'll never run out of the ability to tie that together and to kind of stack your money with senior debt providers as well. So you've just got as much choice as you can as far as getting access to money. And we've been doing this for about 10 years now. So I've been since 2008 when the credit crunch came. And I'll explain to you what uniquely we think would be useful for you if you're trying to build your own commercial property or or other types of property. So Dan, the next point is this whole idea that came from a brilliant book by Stephen Covey, which is, first seek to understand, which is the next slide, Dan.
Okay.
So, shall I just wave to you, Dan? Is that the good thing?
Whatever works for you, Kevin. It's all good.
I'll just use your name, Dan. Okay.
Okay.
So the essence of this is, to become more investable, for people to want to invest in you. I'm going to cover off a whole range of skills that we teach others to do. But the first one is just to get really from the get-go, which is the understanding of what people who've got the money are really thinking. So whenever you're a developer, you see life through a developer's lens, don't you really? You see the property, you see the deal, that's the kind of language you use. But you don't always get to see what's in the hearts and the minds of the people who've got the money and how you can bring what you have to offer to solve their problems. And this is what I mean by seeking first to understand. This doesn't always play out though. Dan, if I talked about the next one, which is really just seeing what I see played out in networking meetings across the UK for sure, which is two people discussing a potential property joint venture. One person is talking about ROCE, ROI, HMOs, Article 4, what their deal analyzer is saying. There's language and speed and things they want to get across. And somebody's listening, but is listening not necessarily understanding all the language, but very much focused on trying to protect themselves. And that speed of somebody speaking at 90 miles an hour and somebody speaking at 30 miles an hour. And I think you can work out who it is. And I don't know if people are unmuted or not, but I think if they were unmuted, they'd all be shouting, it's the developer who's speaking at 90 and it's the investor who's listening at 30. And the problem is, the gears don't always mesh. And I see many property developers come to me and say, the private investor I thought I had has just pulled out. And the big question I have for you is, what is your number? So when I ask developers to give me their funding strategy, they go, what? What do you mean I need a funding strategy? I'm saying, well, okay, whatever you have in mind, whether you're in the HMO space, the commercial space, which is your mentees, Dan, it's what's your number? Is it you want X number of commercial deals? Are you looking for X thousand pounds worth of value per month from a residual point of view? Or are you looking to create £100 million worth of development? You know, what are you trying to achieve? And once you know what you're trying to achieve, you can work out, well, typically then, what's the amount of the money that you need to fulfill that? And if we take a very simple example, the one I always give, which is if somebody has a plan of 10,000 a month and they want to do that with, say, 10 HMOs, just for an example, and it costs £100,000 for the refurb and the deposit in this fictitious example, then they need 10 times 10, which is £1 million worth of funding. And if they want to do that very slowly over 10 years, then they only really need 100,000 a year. So if they need £1 million in funding, how many investors do they really need? And the answer is they only really need possibly one. So the skill in getting access to funding is build great relationships with a few people once you've worked out what you want to do, rather than try and seek lots and lots of investors. And that way, once you build that relationship, you're in a position where they will repeat and repeat and repeat. And that's the essence of doing business with people in my space. So I look after around about 200 million of money, several hundred SSAS trustees, and other people. I'm going to focus on SSAS for reasons which will become clear in a moment. For those of you who don't know what SSAS is, I'm going to help you understand that because it's quite a key language to get. But if you recognize that because we deal with so many people and have done so for 10 years, we live in the hearts and minds of private investors. So we know exactly how they think, what they're looking for, what they're fearful of, what they're interested in, who they trust, why they trust them, why they don't trust other people. So I'm hoping to bring with you a stack of value, probably quite quickly, for you to be able to work out what's your best strategy to have a complete waiting list of people who want to invest in your project. Would that be a good outcome, Dan, for your group?
Yes, absolutely. Sounds fantastic.